Hey everyone, and welcome back to Susanna's Pioneer Survival Skills. Today we're going to be taking a special look into leatherworking.
Pioneers use leather to create all kinds of items, anywhere from clothing and shoes, tools, household items, and sometimes even door hinges. Let's check in with a local leathersmith.
Hi, I'm Dylan from Dillo Leatherworks in San Marcos, Texas, and today we're going to take a look at some traditional and modern leatherworking tools. It's called a head knife. It is essentially just a round blade. The purpose of it being round is so you can kind of use your leverage. You can basically grip it and then pull back. You're essentially always going to be cutting towards yourself, which is not as dangerous as it sounds. At first, I was interested in boot making. I thought that the best way to kind of get started with that was to maybe familiarize myself with the medium of leather. I just started with like an X-Acto knife, to be honest. I just had X-Acto knives laying around, and then ordered a small piece of leather and got started there.
This scratcher awl has a blunt tip used to mark the leather for where you're going to cut.
To make little holes in the leather so you can stitch. The reason I have two different ones is this is mostly just for straight lines, and then I'll use this one to create curves. So a curve around a round edge, or even just a curve on a right angle if you wanted to do that. People kind of wonder, like, how do you actually stitch through leather? It's so thick, like, your needles have to be super sharp for that. And it's actually the opposite. The needles need to be dull, but you have to prick your holes first.
Mallets are used to hammer on tools. Most mallets feature a metal head, while this one has a rubber one in favor of not damaging the puncture tools.
I use an edge slicker. This is essentially just a piece of wood with a bunch of little notches cut out, as you can see. You would basically run this along the finished edge of a piece of leather where you had beveled both sides, and you would run this up and down until it was smooth.
Wing dividers are used to maintain a consistent space in between the edge of the piece and the stitching lines.
We have needle and thread. These are what are called saddler's needles, and they have a very dull point because essentially when you're stitching leather, you're going in and out of the holes like this, and if they were really sharp, you would be more likely to poke yourself. I've still managed to make myself bleed even with them being super dull.
Edge bevelers are used to round or smooth the cut sides of the leather.
Not really like anything else. It's very thick. It's hard to work with. Anything you do is kind of permanent. Keeping your knife as sharp as possible is probably the second most challenging aspect. Also, I think trying to figure out how to take a flat piece of leather and turn it into a 3D object. So if I were to take a bunch of pieces of a pattern and then cut all my leather pieces out of it, and then I have to figure out how am I going to take this flat piece of leather and turn it into, say, a fanny pack.
Thank y'all so much for watching, and check back soon for Susanna's Pioneer Survival Skills, Better in Leather Part 2.